We're back with Alden Chodash of AldenBoxing.com. Last night, Alden, on HBO, Juan Diaz, Juan Manuel Marquez, and the one and only Marquez was victorious. Great performance, wasn't it?
It stacks right up there with the best performances in his career, and it's ironic that his best performances have come later in his career. He's hit his zone while he reached the lightweight division. He's been knocking out guys that have never been knocked out, beating guys that have been seldomly beaten, and just looking great, turning in career best performances, coming off the two fights with Pacquiao, and really a third fight with Pacquiao, in my eyes, is the most logical setup in the sport today.
He's calling out Floyd Mayweather. Is that a smart thing to do?
One thing I gotta say to Juan about that, I love you, Juan. You're a great fighter. I really love the way you fight. Don't take this fight. Don't even try. Don't even call out Mayweather. He's too fast for you. And there's so many other fights. Great fighters. Manny Pacquiao. You'd have a much better shot with him. And he's the second pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He can probably beat maybe everybody but Manny Pacquiao, and he still has the ability to beat Pacquiao. But Mayweather is in a zone of his own. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's just as fast as Manny Pacquiao, but Marquez depends on fighters to make mistakes, and Mayweather is not going to find any mistakes in him. So he's not going to have any chance of picking Mayweather apart, and therefore he probably shouldn't even be calling out Mayweather right now.
Okay. Let's see. The Chris John-Rocky Juarez fight, expected to be a snooze-a-thon. Do you think it lived up to expectations?
Actually, surprisingly, not. I heard it was a pretty good fight, but from what I was watching, it wasn't really that exciting. Neither guy was really landing a lot of punches. Chris John was trying to push the pace, and Rocky Juarez, surprisingly, was responding with more punches that I'm accustomed to seeing him throw. Probably because he was fighting in his hometown, he was encouraged by the crowd and also by John's activity, and also that John wasn't really that big of a puncher, but they fought in even terms, and it's probably a good enough fight to guarantee a rematch and another U.S. appearance for Chris John.
From what you saw of Chris John, does it surprise you that he beat Juan Manuel Marquez a couple of years ago?
It does, and that's why I don't think Marquez is at his best. I heard the scoring might have been shaky. The refereeing might have been shaky in that fight. Something went wrong because from what I've seen from Chris John there and what I've seen from Juan Manuel Marquez, Marquez shouldn't be losing to this guy. I mean, John's a good fighter, but Marquez is just on another level.
Getting back to Marquez. Marquez, when he gets hit, he gets angry and he keeps throwing. Similar to Eric Morales, I would say, but Marquez has more just technical skill than Morales, no?
Yeah, he does, and that's really his only weakness, is that when he gets hit, he keeps throwing, and he's lucky that Juan Diaz was not a big puncher, or like Pacquiao did, he could have seriously hurt Marquez while Marquez is fighting through danger. That's what held him back from beating Pacquiao maybe in both fights, is that he likes to punch when he's in trouble, and that gets him in even more trouble, if you think about it, but really that's his only weakness, and it contributes to the fact that Marquez is not only a great technician, but a very fun fighter to watch, that he fights when he's in trouble, as well as his great boxing skills, which makes him the total package for boxing fans.
Okay, so in an ideal Alden Chodash world, Pacquiao will beat Ricky Hatton in Manchester, and then at the end of the year, we're going to see Pacquiao, Marquez in their third of trilogy.
Yeah, it's juicier than ever right now. I mean, especially if Pacquiao beats Hatton, if it's a good fight and Pacquiao dominates him, or just beats him in a good fight and scores a lot of punches. But I mean, Marquez is as big as he's ever been. He's probably going to end up fighting one of the top lightweights in the world, if not junior welterweights, by the end of the year. And then hopefully they'll get together by the end of the year. These guys are meant for each other. It's not like these guys are the two best in the world, but their styles don't stack up well against each other. These guys produce great action.
24 rounds, and they separated by probably 1 point on the scorecards. And
Marquez, I think he won more rounds than Pacquiao. It's just the fact that Marquez likes to fight through danger, which puts him in a big hole because of Pacquiao's explosive power that contributes to the reason why he can't get a nod over Pacquiao.
Okay, not yet anyway, right?
Not yet.
But you see that's a possibility. Right?
I mean, if you're able to do as well as you did against Pacquiao as Marquez has done, there's always a chance that you could beat him.
Okay, on Friday, Showtime, Do you think Jonathan Banks was rushed into the Adamek fight, and that's going to spoil his career?
I think so. With the exception of one fight on ESPN against Eliseo Castillo, in which he knocked Castillo out, but was almost knocked out on his own. I really never heard much about him other than that. And
if he wasn't a Manny Stewart fighter, you probably would never have heard of him, right?
No, definitely not. But yeah, I just hope he's not hurt. I hope that beating didn't ruin his career. But he has moments, and he's inexperienced, so hopefully he can develop, and maybe this will make him into a better fighter.
And this Adamek, some performance after a short layoff from his Cunningham fight, no?
Yeah, he should go right into Cunningham again if he wants to be that active. Him and Cunningham almost produced the Fight of the Year in 2008, and I had no idea their styles were going to match up that well against each other. They ended up doing so, and really in a cruiserweight division with that much talent, those two guys would be the only logical step for either of those fighters to take in the division.
Yeah, they're heads and shoulders above the rest of the cruiser division, isn't it?
Yeah, and the public doesn't know anything about the rest of the cruiserweight division. They're mostly guys out of America.
Okay. Looking to the future, ESPN this coming week, Delby Rodriguez is now taking on Shimon Alvarez, whose only loss came to Joshua Clottey. It was supposed to be Isaac Lachuel, but that's not going to happen. Rodriguez, Alvarez, who do you think wins? Briefly.
I saw Alvarez before. He's inactive, but it looks like he has the better skills compared to Rodriguez, and he should win the fight.
Okay, Saturday, HBO, this coming Saturday, you don't think James Kirkland will beat Joel Julio? Both
guys love to throw punches, and you got to go with the more durable fighter, and probably the more technically sound fighter in this case, and both of those attributes, of course, are being pointed towards Joel Julio.
Okay. Victor Ortiz, Mike Arnudis. I think you like Victor Ortiz to win that fight, no?
Yeah, he should win the fight. Arnudis is kind of settling into becoming maybe an opponent. He's lost too many fights to have great confidence going into this fight, and Victor Ortiz is the polar opposite. He's on the way up, and he's recording some great victories, and should definitely win this fight.
How good do you think Victor Ortiz could potentially be? I know HBO is really touting him.
I think he's getting better. I think with each fight and with each level up an opponent, he's getting better, and his management's doing a perfect job. Every opponent is starting to rise and put a little more on him. And really, Arnudis, who probably won't end up beating Ortiz, is definitely the toughest opponent of his career and a perfect step for him to take.
He's definitely a tough fight for anybody, really, with his style, no?
Yeah, at one point it looked like he might actually become the world junior welterweight champion in a very close fight with Ricardo Torres. So, and was getting a lot of big fights off that.
Okay, do you think Miguel Cotto should fight Joshua Clottey in June? Would you like to see that fight anyway?
No.
No.
I would not want to see that fight.
Why
but
not?
Cotto, he's still he might still be recovering from the Antonio Margarito fight. Against a guy that had nothing to respond with, like Michael Jennings, Cotto is still a little cautious, and Joshua Clottey is just a little bit too defensive, and he fights behind his arms a little too much. And I just don't think those two styles would produce that much action, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and because that fight is one of the most logical fights you can make in the welterweight division right now.
I think you agreed with me that Cotto will get points, and then just move away, and Clottey won't be able to catch him.
Yeah, the problem is that probably wouldn't be that entertaining because Clottey is such a technically sound fighter that all those punches and points would be against Clottey's arms.
Right. They'll look good, but they really won't have much effect, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not thrilled about that fight. And finally, Winky Wright, how is he going to beat Paul Williams? That's not going to happen, is it?
No, he's not. He couldn't beat Paul Williams. And, it definitely would be a closer fight at their best, but Paul Williams throws a lot of punches. Winky Wright likes to fight behind his arms, and I think Winky Wright's going to have a hard time getting out of his shell because he's gonna be defending against so much punches, he won't know what to do, especially with that layoff, which can't make it any better. And yeah, it should be an easy win for Paul Williams. Maybe not easy because of Winky Wright's experience, but he shouldn't have too much problems.
Why isn't Paul Williams a superstar at this point? Is it just his personality, style? What is it?
It's really hard to become a superstar at this point in boxing.
He beat Margarito.
You got to have the personality. You got to be able to knock guys out. Williams picks you apart